Hi again, and thanks for tuning in to see another episode of Math with Mullins. Today we're going to be talking about lesson 2.4, multiplying and dividing decimals, and still kind of the same concept because we're still in that rational number chapter. Positives and negatives you'll be seeing today as well. 7 things will be going in your notes today, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to make sure we understand is that same rules with the previous video with fractions, you're still going to be using the rules of Monkey Man. So still using the rules of Monkey Man. Let's go ahead and take time now to just pause the video and write down our rules, which is right here. Very simple, very easy. When you're done, click play to see what comes next. So number 2 says, what are the steps for multiplying decimals? When you multiply decimals, you're just going to multiply like normal, almost like you're ignoring the decimal. So maybe even think about them as whole numbers. Once you're done, then you move the decimals. I'm going to show you a few examples and then you get to try some on your own. Go ahead and click pause if you haven't had time to write down the steps. Click play when you're ready to go on. So here's an example. We have negative 2.5 times 3.6. What I'm going to do, again, like step 1 said, was ignore the decimals. So I'm still going to write them with decimals, but I'm pretending it's essentially like multiplying 25 and 36. 6 times 5 is 30, carry my 3. 6 times 2 plus 3 is 15. Bring a 0 down to hop over to this 3. 3 times 5 is 15, carry my 1, and 3 times 2 plus 1 is 7. I'm going to add all these together, and I get 900, but now I need to move my decimals. I have 1 decimal movement here and 1 decimal movement here, which is a total of 2. So I start on the far right and go 1, 2. So my answer will be 9, but it needs to be a negative 9 because I'm multiplying a positive times a negative. Here's where for you to take a chance to try these. So let's go ahead and pause the video. Once you're done, click play so you can check your work. All right, so for number 3, we've got negative 0.05 times 0.5. So I'm just going to, doesn't really matter if you line them up at all. You don't need to line them up because you're essentially just ignoring the decimals. I know 5 times 5 is 25, carry my 2. 5 times 0 plus 2 is 2. 5 times 0 is 0. Bring a 0 down. 0 times 5, 0 times 0, 0 times 0. Add those all together, 5, 2, 0, 0. And then I'm counting the decimal movements. I have 2 here and 1 here, so that's a total of 3. So 1, 2, 3. I get 0.025, and it will be a positive because I've multiplied negative by negative. Down here for number 4, I've got negative 0.4 times 0.3, multiplying and ignoring the decimals at first. I got 12, carry my 1, 3 times 0 plus 1 is 1, a 0 to go over to the next one, 0 times 4, and 0 times 0. Add them together, I have 1 decimal movement here and 1 there, so that's going to be a total of 2. So 1, 2, so I got 0.12, and then I do need to keep it negative as my answer because I multiplied a positive by a negative. Next one we're going to talk about is how to divide decimals. The first step will be to move the decimals first. Once you move the decimals, then you can divide. Go ahead and pause the video, copy down the steps, and then once you're done, click play to see an example done. So here's our first example. This one says negative 4.2 divided by 0.03. Here's an easy way to remember how to set up these type of division problems. The number that's first in line is always the one that goes first inside. Kind of like if you're first in line to a movie, you're going to be the first inside. So negative 4.2 will go inside, and 0.03 will stay on the outside. Kind of like you're also switching places. The first step I have is to move the decimal. I can't divide when a decimal is on the outside, so I have to move it once, twice to make it a whole number. And since I moved it twice here, I also have to move it twice on the inside. 1, 2. I have to fill this empty space up with a 0, and now my new numbers become negative 420 and the whole number 3. Now I can divide like normal. 3 goes into 4 once with 1 left over. 3 goes into 12 4 times with none left over. And 3 goes into 0 0 times, or you could just bring up that 0. Okay, so my answer after I divided, I get 140, but it needs to be negative because I divided a negative by a positive. These two you're going to try on your own, so let's go ahead and take time now to pause the video. Once you're done, click play so you can check your work. Alright, so number 6 is going to be set up like this. Negative 0.24 divided by negative 0.08. Again, can't have any decimals on the outside, so I have to move it until it makes it a whole number. Once, twice on the outside, so also once, twice on the inside. This is going to change my numbers now to negative 24 and negative 8. This should be pretty simple because 8 goes into 24 evenly. 3 times 8 is 24, and I'm left with a 0. My answer is positive 3 because I divided both negatives. For number 7, negative 3.45 goes on the inside of the house and 15 stays on the out. I don't have any decimals on the outside, and that's great, but I do have a decimal here. And what's going to happen whenever you just have decimals on the inside and you don't need to move them on the outside is you just bring it up to the top and divide like normal. 15 can't go into 3, but 15 can go into 34 2 times. 2 times 15 is 30. I get 4 left over, bring down my next number, which is a 5. 15 goes into 45, nicely, 3 times, and we get zeros left over amount. So 0.23 is what I got after I divided. It will be a negative 0.23 because I divided a negative by a positive. So that's going to conclude our video today. If you need to rewind, make sure you do that, and then go ahead and check to see what we're up to next.